Sometimes it's hard to face reality. Oh, oh, even though you might get mad at me. Oh, oh, sometimes it's hard to face reality. Don't be afraid to stand around.
What's going on YouTube? This is Logan Oren, and today I want to discuss a video that was made by Ryan Moody / Dollar Jr., one of the two, a couple of months ago. But I'm not going to focus so much on the video itself, but on the comments made on the video. A lot of the people in the community are getting a lot of flack for their lack of enthusiasm for the Axis football and the NCAA game that's in the process of raising money, or they're getting flack for their unwillingness to purchase or to throw away money to purchase the game or donate money to Kickstarters for the developers. Now, many supporters of these developers' efforts are pushing forward to get the community to support these games and their efforts under the banner of an alternative to Madden. But are they really considered to be an alternative to Madden? Now, although it is an alternative in the strict definition of the word, as far as the overall spirit of the word, I don't think it really is a true alternative. And to plug it as this to the sim community as a true alternative, in my opinion, is counterproductive as far as building the community. And here are three basic reasons why I feel that this is the case. All right, so reason number one. Does anybody remember Damon Groh in Montana 16? Remember Damon Groh and Montana 16? Was it not that long ago that a small but still well-established gaming development company came to the sim community, to Hornswoggle, and used the desperation of the sim community to kind of cash in on our desire to have a suitable alternative option to go to in place of Madden. I don't need to go into detail because you all know the story, but you remember the promises and the deception, all to take advantage of the situation. Now, Damon's company was already established and was somewhat reputable. And I'm glad that you all have gained, that trust for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I have none. I don't trust anyone. And that's kind of how I look when it comes to all of these little small companies coming out, or these little small developers coming out looking to push their game on the community. The second reason is that in the world of product and sales, the marketplace pretty much determines what kind of product decisions a company will make when developing products. Now, supply and demand is key, and a company will target to the demand for a product. These particular project developers are showing very little respect to its main target groups. The sim football community, in the comments, I'm constantly hearing people say they're not going to buy a mobile game or PC game, and that they'll only support a game that only comes out on console. Others explain that traditionally, sports sim gamers are mostly console gamers. I then see others basically telling people to forget what you want. You need to change your preference to PC and mobile gaming so that maybe, just maybe, it might make it to console after, a few years. Now, especially when this is an issue, when the community is used to having to live with these broken promises, and we've dealt with that for year after year after year, and not even with just these small companies, but we've also dealt with this with EA as well, and which is a major video game developing company. Now, the third reason is by setting our standards low, you all are asking us to endure what we as a community have endured for over a decade now. You want us to sit back while a development company puts out a game that is subpar or significantly below community standards and support them and pay their rent or mortgages while we wait for their never ending non planned plan to yield the product that meets our standards and expectations. All the while, we pay for a worthless mobile game app to sit unused while taking up much more needed storage space on our phones and tablets, or as we go out to buy these expensive gaming PCs that will collect dust due to losing interest in playing the whack one and only game that you bought the PC for to begin with. So, what is going to be their slogan? We're on a 3 year plan, a 5 year plan, then a 3 year development cycle. Then we'll take a 2 year layoff to update our engine so we can begin our 4 year plan. And then we'll evaluate whether it's the right move for us to make that move to the consoles in about a year or 2 years. Now, people on the comment boards have asked, well, why can't they put the game out on consoles? And multiple people respond by saying, well, it's easier to go to go the PC route because Microsoft doesn't really care about the standards and the quality that in order to be approved to put onto the Xbox One or PS4, it basically has to meet a quality, or sorry, for the PS4, it basically has to meet a quality worthy to be put on their consoles. Now, you can agree or not, and correct me if my thinking is way off track, but why should we buy a game that isn't on the level to be put on a console? For a PC version, let's see, it can have shoddy graphics, shoddy game AI, shoddy physics, shoddy features and options. Look, I get it. It takes time for a small time indie development company to fine tune its product to be great. But what happened to the days when game developers put in the grind and the time themselves to put out a good game? I know Madden wasn't always good quality and 2K had to climb its way up also. Even though game day wasn't perfect and had its issues, 989 Sports dropped a bomb on the industry because it had a standard to match, and 989 actually set a new standard. The football gaming, they set a new standard in the football gaming world. Now, when did this welfare system for video gaming come about? Why is the consumer subsidizing a company so it can take itty bitty baby steps to make an attempt to get to the level where it needs to be? Is the community that desperate that they're willing to go all the way back to Atari 2600 Commodore standards to maybe, just maybe, get sim football standards? When we were going through the whole Montana 16 debacle, I stated that I'm not a welfare system for game developers. And it's completely acceptable for someone in the community to not shell out money for Kickstarters or even to purchase a product that is not even on a standard that's on an acceptable level of quality. It is not the consumer's responsibility to finance any company. It is the responsibility of the company to put out the product, to do the work, to do the research, to do what is necessary for them to put out a product that is at the level that meets the consumer's wants and needs. Now, I don't know what the leaders of the sim community have done, those people who have gone out and petitioned and who have worked for to try to I guess bring improvement. I don't know what they've done, but why couldn't the community go to other established developers who have the existing capital and resources as well as a reputation to position themselves in order to make a real investment in themselves and in the sim community? Why could we not go to any of these other companies? Like, why can't You go to Ubisoft or to Blizzard Entertainment or Activision or Konami, or if they still exist, Capcom. Why can't these companies be sought out to see if they are willing to make that investment? And I know it doesn't make sense when you look at it and you say, well, you don't really care about sim football gaming if you're not willing to put in the money and you not willing to put in the time or the effort. Um, and I get that on the other side as well, because in order to progress, there's got to be that work. There's got to be that struggle in order to build. But at the same time, one of the things that we do know is we do know that the sim community is kind of lazy. And we do know that the sim community is, in a sense, that we want something that's established. And so I don't know if that has been something that has been done, as far as, instead of just taking these no name uh, developers who are starting from the bottom and not even knowing if they'll even, make it into the realm of sim football glory, that they'll be able to make a game that is at the level that can go on console, where it will be an actual option. It'll be a legitimate alternative to the only game in town. The issue is more so, I guess, the approach that some people within the community have taken about shunning people because they are against this mindset that we can hold on to our preferences of what makes the sim sports community unique. And that being, we don't typically, or sim gamers typically do not play PCs, they do not play mobile games, and it is not unacceptable to not want to play these games on these formats, because it doesn't lend to what this type of gamer wants to begin with. The marketplace has spoken for what they prefer. And I get the point where, in order to, that we want to help these guys along, but they've got to put in that work too. And not that they aren't putting in that work, because they are. I mean, they are reaching out to the community. They're reaching out to some of the people in the community and attaching themselves to some of the commentators and different channels. But I just don't feel like the trust is there, that me personally, that I'm willing to shell out the money to be that person who is financially holding them on. I want a company who's already established to come out and use what they already have to produce what we want. So I know that there are probably a lot of people who would disagree with what I say, and that's fine. And I think that's part of what makes a community a community, is that you do have differing opinions. But again, like I said, my ultimate issue with this particular video is not necessarily the video itself. This is pretty much because there were people within the community who are trashing other people in the community because they look at the process as being unacceptable, or in a sense a waste of time, because they're not willing to stoop to a lower standard with the hopes of coming up to the standard of what we have been fighting for many, many years by now. So that's it. There is, I think, a viable option that I think could be the only option for I guess to use against Madden or to play instead of Madden. And on my next video, that's what I'm going to talk about. So this is Logan Oren, the Troll for Truth. You know why? Because the truth should mean something.